Well, good morning and a big welcome to Google Digital Garage this morning and our upcoming session, which is build a CV and write a cover letter today. So happy Friday to everyone. I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a good week and I hope you're looking forward to the weekend as well. We've got a 60-minute session, as you can see from the screen ahead, in terms of helping you to build a CV, write a cover letter, take some of the pressure out of that exercise and make sure that you're representing yourself and marketing yourself in the best possible way. So my name is Glenn and I'm a trainer for Google's free skills training program, Google Digital Garage. I'm an experienced digital skills trainer. I'm digital marketer, and my background is very much in management consultancy, helping businesses find opportunities to grow. I've also been a hiring manager on many occasions, so I've seen quite a few CVs and quite a few cover letters as well. So I'm hoping to be able to add a fair amount of value to this session from that experience and give you a few insider tips where I possibly can. Now, I'd also like to introduce my good friend and colleague, Anthea, who you will find in the chat. So get involved in the chat, please. Please do say hello. I can see a couple of hellos coming in this morning already, which is fantastic. This is a really good session to get involved with, to interact with us on, and to give us your thoughts and comments. We like the community feel. It's really great to share experience. It's great to know kind of where we're all at. So please do say hello to Anthea. Anthea has the little blue spanner just by the side of her name. She'll be in the chat for the duration of the session, interacting with you, interacting with your comments, but also answering your questions. We will have a few pause for questions during this session. So if there's any burning questions that you get throughout, then please ask away. Anthea's going to answer most of those for you, but she might also then pop a couple for me to answer in those pauses, again, if they might be issues that could be quite relevant to the wider audience. Okay, so if you can't see YouTube chat, then you might just need to sign in. So please do sign into your account. It's only a few clicks. And of course, you then have the advantage of being able to see this in your history. So that can be quite important as well. So if you want to revisit the session, you do actually have about 24 hours in order to do that. The session will remain live on the link that you've just come in on, that you've booked up with here. So again, if you need to revisit any of the points, and if you are actively perhaps building yourself a CV now, then this could be the chance for you to really play around with that template and get it right. And with what we're going to be talking about today, then hopefully we can really assist you in doing that. Okay, now, fantastic. So I'm going to move on and get the session actually started for you. Just remember that you can book up more courses and more webinars, more free training on the Google Digital Garage website. That's g.co/digital garage. There is a whole host of information and knowledge there for you. You can see lots more live sessions like these. There are also some great courses on there, some of which can earn you certifications. So please do have a look and get learning. It's a great way to spend your day and your spare time if you can do that. All right, so let's see what we're going to be covering today. Firstly, we're going to be looking at how we're going to be building our CV, how to construct it, how to make it look great, using all the information that we've collected in the first section, looking at how we structure a CV. Secondly, then we're going to be looking at how we write our accompanying document, which is our cover letter, and making sure, again, that stands out to recruiters and to employers. And then thirdly, we're going to be getting ready for our job search by looking at some of the resources available to us to help us identify perhaps the roles that we're looking for, or to help us get the experience that we need. Okay, so we've got a couple of hellos. So Sab, hello Sab, good morning to you. Absolutely welcome. I just completed my master's at Liverpool and I'm looking forward to making the most out of this webinar. Good, okay, fantastic. Then the positioning of your information will hopefully become a lot clearer as we work through. And Kaveri, hi, I'm from India, I'm a student. I want to learn how to build an effective CV. Okay, great. Excellent stuff. Thank you very much for your comments and good morning to you as well. You're both in the absolute right place. Okay, let's have a look now before we do get going, there's something that could also help you in terms of getting that experience and that training that you need. If you're looking to improve, as it says on the screen there, your job ready skill set, you can sign up for Google Career Certificates at goo.gle/career cert UK, and Anthea will drop a link to that into the chat for you. These are job ready skills, job ready things, which there's a lot of demand for. Lots of roles are needing filling. There are more roles now, it appears, in things like digital marketing, perhaps data processing, project management, than the candidates that are ready to fill them. So if you want to get ahead, and if those are the types of things that you're looking for, check out that link, and maybe there's a course there that you would be able to do to help you move along and to help you get that first role. I've spoken to a lot of people that have taken on have got roles and taken on different roles and experience via these certificates, and they have really, really enjoyed the experience. So maybe again, it's something that you can add to your overall bucket of things you can reflect on your CV, or perhaps your LinkedIn profile as well. All right, so let's have a look. What are your career aspirations? That's the first question that we're going to ask you today. Just let us know what your career aspirations actually are, what it is that you are hoping to achieve, what you're working towards. It's good to have goals. We all need goals. If we don't have goals, what are we working towards, and how can we measure our success? So what are your career aspirations? Pop that into the chat for us, and I'll pick up on a few of those as I move along. So let's move into section 1, and that is building our CV. Now we're going to introduce a templated approach. It's not the only way that we can or do create CVs, but it's a useful way to get used to including all of the right and relevant information. You know, you need to be flexible in how you present yourself, especially based on the industry sectoral role that you're applying for. And also, I think a good point to make at this stage is that some CVs might want a longer, more detailed CV. Some organizations just might want a really simple CV. So always pay attention to the job description and what you're being asked to produce. Having said that, generally we are going to be pushing and promoting perhaps the 2-page approach. That's bearing in mind the time that recruiters and employers have to look through all of your relevant information, but also it does seem to be becoming one of those recognized standards for CVs, again, within certain confines. So again, another one for you for the chat. So write the following. What's the primary purpose of a CV? So when you think of a CV or a resume, depending again on what country it is that you're tuning in from today, CV and resume are going to be interchangeable terms. So what's the purpose of a CV? It's a really, really good question. So I'll just give you a couple of seconds. Sab, I can see that you've started the Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. Fantastic. I've done that course as well. Really, really useful to give you a bit of a grounding in it helps you promote yourself too. And of course, you know, your CV is your ultimate marketing document. So why not learn about the wider implications of marketing? Fantastic. And you want to be a data scientist. So there could be a career cert for you as well, but it sounds as if you're already doing quite a lot of studying anyway. Okay, so primary purpose of a CV, it's the course of your life. That's quite a nice way to put it. Your curriculum vitae is the course of your life. That's almost like got a romantic feel to it, doesn't it? The course of your life. So it's a short written description of your education, your qualifications, your jobs, and your interests that you're going to hopefully appeal to an employer or recruiter with. So a CV needs to reflect your life's experience and not just really the jobs. It needs to show a good element of you. Okay, so the first contact with employers is something to really bear in mind. You know, it's often going to be the first thing that links you with that potential employer, and it's your first step towards getting that job. You know, when someone sees your CV or resume, they're looking for a document that proves why you're the ideal candidate for the role. Now, we are going to be going beyond on our CV, stating simply our work experience. It's not just a statement of things, it's an insight into you. This is good to bear in mind, again, because only really 2% of candidates make it to the interview stage. So you want to make your CV stand out by including all of the relevant skills and, of course, experiences. And the word really throughout this entire session today is going to be relevance. That's why I think if you use the word relevance, that's why it makes it a lot easier for me to say, make sure that you tailor all of your CVs, make sure that you tailor all of your cover letters for the actual roles you're applying for, because every role is for a potentially different company with nuances. They have different values, they have different core values, they have different ways of looking at life, they have different corporate social responsibilities, and you want to make sure that you're fitting in with that, with the culture, with the feel for the company that you're applying for. And again, you actually reading in detail that job description can make a massive difference. So let's start with looking at what information that we want to include on a CV. You'll probably recognize a fair amount of this, but again, if you're starting from absolute scratch, then bear in mind this, take some notes, use the note-taking device of your choice, pen and paper, whatever that might be. So we want to include our basic information, the things that help us identify ourselves there, our opening summary, something to describe ourselves, the work experience that we've had, which is relevant to the role that we're going for. Again, links to that, our education and the achievements that we have, and of course, a well thought out explanation of our skills and strengths. Our skills and strengths, again, that are going to be relevant for the role that we're going to be going for and the duties that that role contains. So the basic information is just to include your name, your address or location. So your name, nice and bold, big. In mine, that's my experience. Put your name big at the top so people remember and recognize who you are. You've got your address or location. I'm not putting really my home address. I'm not really putting anything on there other than perhaps the area, the region, or perhaps even just the city that I'm in. Our contact information, that's useful to have, because if a recruiter or an employer wants to know more about you, then let's have that information readily to hand. That could be your phone number, that your email address, that could be a link to perhaps relevant online presence that you have as well. Again, making sure that it's positive, making sure that anything you're linking people to is going to help them see the best you. And then the other important information that could be relevant perhaps to the role that you're going for. That could be accreditations, portfolios, could be visas if they're relevant, driving license perhaps if the position involves moving around in a car. Again, think about supplying the recruiter or the employer with the right information to help them make a good decision quickly about you. Remembering that recruiters and employers who are looking at CVs, hiring managers, are often extremely busy. They have a limited set amount of time in order to review applications. So you need to stand out. And often they are sifting through and looking for those keywords, those key bits of information that help them think they've got the right fit for the job. So let's move on now. We've got our basic information in place and we're now thinking about our opening summary. So we have 2 or 3 sentences there which describe who you are and what you can do for that employer. An elevator pitch. Again, put that term into a search engine of your choice and you will find lots and lots of examples of elevator pitches. It's a way of selling yourself. Again, that phrase sometimes is a bit off-putting to people, but it's actually, be realistic and know that you've definitely got skills and that you are, you know, a worthy person who is going to be able to fulfill tasks and grow within a company and within a role. Selling yourself can be an intimidating phrase, but ultimately applying for a job and letting people understand your skills and strengths is the time to really sell the things that you know that you're good at. So it's a good opportunity to be able to tell an employer who you are, what you can do. If you don't have a great deal of experience, and again, this is a question we do get asked a lot, think about unpaid work experience, think about any volunteering roles you might have done, any work experience that you've had, overall career goals and ambitions, what you're working towards, qualifications that you're taking to help you to achieve that. Because again, a lot of it is about motivation and people seeing that you're motivated and dedicated to what it is that you're trying to achieve. Okay, so once we've thought about our opening summary, and again, my best advice, I think, on this is don't think you're going to get it right first time. Don't think those sentences are just going to position themselves and that's all done. Set yourself some time aside and craft what sounds good. Think about the words that you're using. Think about the descriptive phrases that you're using that again present you in the best possible light, that read well. And maybe it is a good time to have a close friend or someone that you trust or someone that knows you well who can review what you've written and say, yeah, that's great, or that takes you slightly off on a different angle. Try and get some constructive feedback from someone that you trust while you're putting all of these things into play. So when we start to think about work experience, we're going to be looking at that reverse chronological order, the most recent role at the top. Why do we do that? Because it gives the employer a feel for what you're doing now, and perhaps, in their minds they're thinking, is that a good progression for you? And it helps them to start to build questions that they perhaps like to ask you at that interview stage. You're into your work experience. Let's think about the company, the job title, and the dates that you've been working. Highlight your responsibilities and your achievements. CVs can really thrive when you're letting people understand what your achievements were, rather than I did this and I did that. I achieved certain things. I enhanced growth. I improved customer service. I got better results. I increased revenue. Think about all of the dynamic things that your work and your input might have contributed to help make that company or the company that you're in perhaps a better place or a more successful place. So include those key projects and the results that you've had. My input helped us to increase productivity across my team by 30% over 12 months when we concentrated on a productivity project, or we were upscaling, we were upskilling our workforce. Think about the things that you've done. Think about your place in those projects and the key contributions that you've made, because they're great talking points. You don't have to outline them in massive amounts of detail. If you allude to them, describe them, then that gives the interviewer something really good to ask you and to speak to you about, to give you a chance to shine at that interview stage. So think about what you're creating, but also think a step ahead and think, okay, every single point I'm putting, I can talk about that, and I'd love to talk about that because it gives me an opportunity to really impress and to show the things that I can do. And include your volunteer work and your work experience, again, if relevant, because people, again, are impressed, I think. I'm certainly impressed when I see people doing lots of volunteer roles, taking time, not necessarily paid, that's helping an organization, that's contributing somewhere. That's impressive because you're really taking your time and showing your level of dedication to me. Again, important for a recruiter or an employer to see. Then we want to look at our education and our achievements. We're going to have the most recent again at the top, so that reverse chronological order. We're going to look at our academic qualifications, the schools and colleges that we attended to obtain them. Again, think about qualifications and things that you've done, relative activities that you might be undertaking that might use some of the potential skills, the particular skills that this job you're going for, this job that you're working towards needs, because all of that experience is going to help you to move one step closer. It's all about being the right fit. It's about being that right part of the jigsaw, and your CV, and hopefully how you can see this approach building, is everything you're doing is relevant, everything you're putting in is positive, and shows that you're going to be a great fit and that you need to be taken to the next stage of the process. So again, including key projects and research that you feel will contribute, that would again exhibit the skills that perhaps you might well need to show in the job that you're applying for. So we move on to those skills and strengths. Now, CVs and cover letters certainly aren't about tricking your employer into hiring you. They're about highlighting the parts of your character that are most applicable for the job. So we want to do this efficiently. We want to show, we want to show what your employable qualities are, because you will have lots and lots of those. The skills you've got, the experience that is suiting the job that you're going for. So a skill is having the ability to do something well or have expertise. You learn skills through being taught them, through experience, handling money, being fluent perhaps in another language, or being good with software and software applications like Word, Excel, or Google Workspace. Who knows what it is, but these are things that you're picking up, you're learning on the way, and you're refining your approach to. Now, strengths, you've got natural strengths you're born with and positive qualities that you can pick up over time when you're looking for them. Your strengths on a CV might include being organized, or you might have good communication skills, which is key in so many roles. Also the ability to get on with people, to be a good fit in the team that you are potentially applying for. So your skills and strengths are going to fit into that section of your CV. You can look at them as bullet points. This makes them easier for employers to read, to understand. Okay, they think they're good and they can demonstrate examples of being good at these types of things. You're often going to get asked, obviously, to provide examples of those things. So make sure you're putting things that you can talk about and that you can demonstrate how good you are and why you're really, really good. And skills and strengths then are going to be relating to the job description. Those you might hear a phrase called transferable skills. There are lots and lots of skills you can take from everyday life and also from previous roles that are going to be highly applicable in your new role. You might have to be able to, be creative in your mind about how you might apply those skills into the particular roles that you've got coming up, or the duties that are within that role. But there are so many transferable skills. And again, go to your search engine of choice, type in transferable skills and start to perhaps look at the industries that you've been working in and the industry that you're going to, because you might be surprised by some of the things that you can transfer across. So showcase your skills. This is important. This is back to the selling. Let people understand what your soft skills are, your hard skills, and your digital skills. So let's have a look at some of those soft skills. Leadership. My background's in leadership and management, and it was just something I really enjoyed doing. So therefore, that's a soft skill. Teamwork, again, being a manager and working within teams, you have to be able to bring people together to get them to understand the commonalities, having joint goals that everyone's working towards, and feeling a sense of unity and community in whatever size team that you have. And that often comes through communication too. So you can see how threads can grow within skills. Now, hard skills, speaking another language, it could be accounting, it can be these are things that can be developed with input and time and effort. So look at the courses that you're taking, the things you're trying to learn, and perhaps the new areas of knowledge that you would like to understand better, how you're doing that, and letting the employer know that you're always developing yourself, you're always curious about certain things because they interest you, or you might have a passion for them. Now, digital skills are something which have obviously evolved and emerged over the last kind of 30 years in terms of commercial availability and the things that we've actually been doing and our ability to really get involved. There are essential digital skills now, which are absolutely key. Things like coding, getting those websites going, video editing. Think about the proliferation of channels like YouTube and TikTok and Vimeo. There are so many. Think about all of the jobs that exist now that did not exist 30 years ago. It's astounding. Social media also being one of those. Again, maybe you've got those great communication skills in your soft skill armory, and maybe you're going to be looking at how to promote yourself or other people or businesses on social media. Look at the digital skills that you have. Look at the things that you do every single day that could be really, really important for the jobs that you're going for. Now, there's a list on the screen there of some example skills to include in your CV: communication, project management, presentations like this one, graphic design, networking, coding and programming. So again, make a note of some of those, perhaps do a screenshot, think about whether they're applicable to you and the things that you've done previously. Now, defining our strengths, we need to think about what we're good at, what we like doing, and what makes us stand out. What we're good at, again, we can be humble people, I think, sometimes, and maybe we just don't like to shout too loudly about the things that we're good at. But the CV is the place for us to be able to, if it's true, it's not boasting. I think that's one of the easiest ways to describe that overall ethic there. It's your chance to shine, but you can do that. So think about what you're good at. Think about the things, the skilled hobbies perhaps that you've got, the things that the roles you've been in previously, and the elements of that role that you've really, really enjoyed, and start to build on that. Why have you enjoyed it? Why were you good at it? Why did it give you that real energy boost? You need to really be realistic with yourself and be as objective as you can. If you can be objective with yourself, you're going to have a good start to actually building an effective CV. So what do you like doing and why? What makes you stand out? What are those things you've got praise for in previous roles, or those things that people come to you for, you're really, really good at, whatever it might be. And so I just need your advice. It could be talking, communicating, having a deep conversation, being a good listener, being a good communicator, being able to fix computers, whatever it might be. Think about those things. When you're thinking about words to describe yourself, remember we're looking at that positive approach. So enthusiastic, diligent, I'm a team player, I love helping people, I'm self-motivated, solution focused. What role doesn't need solutions to be applied to it? I'm adaptable, I'm driven, I'm passionate, I'm caring, I'm dynamic. Think about words that really start to build pictures in people's minds. And here are some example strengths that we can think about, including solution focused. I love that. Dependable, again, important. Caring. I do care. I'm not just in this for me, I'm in it for the team. Enthusiastic. I'm not just here for the cash. I'm actually here because it means something to me. It's making me go home in the evenings feeling fulfilled because I've had a good day. Adaptable is important too, because how many roles just stick to the simple job description now? There are lots and lots of things that come in that you might be asked to do, because jobs are really dynamic, they change, there's lots of changes that go on, that you have to adapt to the market. You kind of have to be prepared for that too. So we want to showcase our experience. How can we best showcase our experience? If you don't have massive amounts of experience, it doesn't matter too much, because there are other things, as we've been talking about already, that you can start to refer to. So you might have done some internships, you might have gained some experience volunteering. Again, it's really relevant. Just because you're not getting paid for it does not make it valuable. You might have got some of those certificates and those achievements that you can reflect, that you've worked really, really hard, that you studied diligently on. Hobbies and extracurricular activities, something that people leave out. But the things that you do in your non-working time, the skilled hobbies, you might be a real whiz on a computer or with tech, or you might spend half of your free time fixing your friends' computers because they keep crashing them. Think about what you're doing and how that can be applicable to the jobs. Think about the skills and strengths that you're using, because again, there's real value in your hobbies and the things that you do outside of work that could be really, really relevant to the roles that you're going for. So we want to reflect on our experience to date. What did we do? Again, ask yourself the question, what did we achieve? Don't think, well, I just served customers all day. But what did you do? I helped them achieve their goals. I was the solution to the challenges that they had. I was polite. I was pleasant. I helped them get solutions really, really quickly. So I was really efficient. I helped them make the most of their time. I helped them make the most of the products that were on offer to them. Dig down a level below and start to really think about the value that you've provided and that you've given to people during your working day. And then translate that, again, that transferable thing. How does this relate to the role? How could I do that? What are the duties that I've got in this job description that I know that I could do similar things to help them achieve their goals? That's why studying a job application and really going for jobs that you would like to do, or that you understand, or that you're being realistic with, are a great way to help you progress up that ladder as you get better and better at the things that you're actually doing. Now let's move into formatting our CV. Again, there's no standard template, but having a template that incorporates all of the areas that we've got highlighted there, our contact details, we've got our opening summary, our experience, our key skills, our education, and our reference information. So your CV, you might want to reflect more of your experience because you feel it's more relevant to the application that you're making. Maybe though, you've decided that the key skills that you have are more relevant to the application that you're making. So you can shuffle a CV around. There are plenty of sites online, plenty of templates online that you can work with. If you're using tools like Google Workspace, if you're using tools like Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Word, Office, whatever it might be, whatever version you've got on your computer somewhere, then there are going to be templates available that you might think, that's going to look good, that's going to give me the best chance to reflect myself well. So maybe just try a few and again, compare what you're looking at with on screen, does that answer the question to the job description that I'm for the role I'm going for as adequately as possible and puts myself in the best light. Now, on the next slide, we've got a question for you, and that is based on everything we've covered so far and based on us sparking the imagination of the employer that we are trying to get a job with. Which of those CVs, one or two, do you feel might be most effective? So bear in mind attention spans, bear in mind the formatting of information, bear in mind the provision of information that we need. Which one would you have? So which one, CV 1 or 2? I will give it a few seconds just so you could just throw that into the chat for me to let us understand maybe which of those CVs just works better than the other. Sab, number 1. Okay, that's cool. Thank you, Sab. Appreciate that. Why is that? I think, or what the way I would describe my answer would be because it's clean, it's professional, it's got an easy to read format. It has clear sections. Steffi D'Souza, 1, exactly. It's got black text on a white background. It's easier to read. It stands out well. And again, if you're an employer and I get that through, I know what I'm looking at. If the education elements are important to me, there it is. It's in a section. If the relevant job experience is right in front of me, there it is. Experience, the job title, the companies, the dates that I've done it in. And look at those skills at the bottom there as well. They've got marketing, they've got strategy, budget, and planning. Now, the reason 2 is perhaps not fantastic is it doesn't really tell you anything about Harry. It's quite informal. Hey, I'm Harry. Is that going to be appropriate for the recruiter or the employer that you're going for? It just doesn't really tell you much. His achievements, I finished my college studies. So he's missed a great opportunity there to say what his college studies were, what he did, what he got out of them, how that all worked for him. His education, again, it's just a very kind of functional CV, but it doesn't give you any insight into Harry as an individual really at all. So we'd be looking at something like 1, again, the details, the name stands out, marketing assistant, the contact details are there to help the employee get in touch with you very, very quickly. Sab, the second one just isn't professional enough. I think I can agree with that on a broad basis. It's not likely to be the most appealing CV. And if you've got a pile of 100, maybe the second one is the one that you filter out as a not this time, but thank you very much. So maximize your impact, write in a clear and concise manner. So be very clear, be transparent about gaps in your CV. It's fine. People expect gaps. Life happens. We have family commitments, we go traveling, we gain experience, we do things again that may well be quite appealing to employers. So be transparent about any gaps that you have in your CV in terms of what you've done. And get a second and third opinion. As I mentioned, talk to someone that you trust, someone that's going to give you good constructive feedback and that's going to be able to look at it from both sides, from your side in terms of what you're trying to achieve, and also from the employer's side in terms of what they'd like to be reading that is presented in the most positive way. All right, so we're going to move into the first pause for questions. Let me just have a look through. Now I can see Anthea's been doing a fantastic job in the chat, and we've got no current questions that haven't been answered already. So thank you very much indeed to Anthea, and thank you indeed for everybody getting involved. I will move into the second part of this training session now, again, to help us to get the most out of it and so we can provide as much information as we can. I will just mention at this stage, if you're enjoying the webinar, and again, to help us to grow as an organization, go to gwo.gle/digital garage feedback and let us have your feedback too. It's a short form, but it gives us vital information to help us improve in the future. Okay, so now we've done our CV. Brilliant stuff. Now we just need to write a cover letter. Do we have much experience with cover letters? It would be interesting just to know, and again, how people have got on with those. Cover letters can be testing, I think, in terms of, well, I've put all that information in my CV, so what do I write in the cover letter? But we'll be covering that. And let's first look at why we think cover letters might be important, because at this point, 40% of recruiters say that they look for a cover letter on applications. It gives, again, an insight into you. 45% of recruiters say that a lack of a cover letter means they might reject that CV. So that's important. And those figures, I think, can only go up. Also, just bear in mind too, that if you do have social media profiles, when people are looking for you and wanting to learn a bit more about you, they're going to go there too. It's just an obvious way now for us as employers to learn a little bit more about you and to see you out in the wild, as opposed to just on the CV and the cover letter. So job applications are now not just about the CV and cover letter. Think about your overall online presence as well. So we're bearing that in mind. Let's think about what we're going to be doing for a cover letter. Again, we're going to be having a look at a structure for that. Writer's block can hit us at this type of point. So if we know what it is that we need to include in a cover letter, those examples on the screen are going to help us just to bear those in mind. Then we can work on them one by one. Now, we've broken it down to kind of the main parts that you can see on the screen. So let's have a look through them now. We want to have a good introduction. We also want to make sure that we're addressing the person that we're writing to quite adequately and obviously relevantly and politely. So hi or hello or dear. Hi is a bit informal, perhaps. Hello is friendly and still perhaps not too old-fashioned at the moment. And dear is quite a classic way. If you write to whoever it is that you're writing to, that might be slightly informal. If you're not sure who you're actually writing to, it could be for the attention perhaps of the hiring manager. It's good to get in that key information first so that people can understand. And also, if people print out CVs, there's another thing, they drop them all on the floor. Oops, they bump into someone. They want to be able to put all of your information together and piece it back together. So make everything really, really clear. What job is it this person's looking for? Oh, it's that one. If they've got a series of positions and everything gets kind of disentangled and thrown across the floor, then they can put it all together and your job's application will still get to the right place as well. So to build a strong introduction, who are you? What are the skills and expertise that you have? Why you're a good candidate for the job? What job you're applying for? And perhaps where you heard about it too. It's also good for companies to know what marketing they've done and what's been effective to get the right people through the door. So in terms of summarizing ourselves, what's important to us, what we're good at, and what we enjoy. So take time to list your strong points, your achievements, when you've been complimented, what's important to you, and what you enjoy. Now, again, it comes back to that selling yourself thing. So if you're unsure or feeling a little bit coy at this stage, talk to people that know you well and just say, what am I good at? Ask them to give a description of you, maybe a colleague that you're working with currently or a colleague that you've worked with previously who may well be able to give you that kind of good objective feedback and say, you're really, really great at doing this. You've really helped me so many times doing this. Refer them back to times that you have interacted and how perhaps you, again, have helped them be solution focused or help them fix something quickly or helps turn a negative into a positive. Then we want to be the problem versus the solution. So again, an employer, their problem, their challenge is that they need someone to come and fill a role because that role has become vacant. You are the solution. You're going to be the person that can slot into that role and do everything that they require of you. The way you can do that and the way you can understand that that's you is by, again, focusing on that job description, the language used in that job description. Do some company research. That's key. If you can get online, do some company research. Understand the company, how it talks to the people that it presents itself to online. Look at its social media channels if possible as well. Look at the things that are relevant to it. What's it posting about? You'll start to get a really good feel for the company and what's important to it. There may well be news and challenges in the industry that the company belongs to. Developments, are they keeping up? Are they ahead? Are they market leaders? Are they catching up? Have they had a hard time? Have they had a good time? Again, maybe at this point, perhaps they had some difficulties in lockdown and they're recovering from that. And again, you can be part of that recovery effort with them. Work and personal skills for a job. So match up your skills, match up everything to the job description. Again, back to that tailoring element to ensure that you are showing that you are the best fit for that job. And then we want to look at our relevant achievements. This is, as it says on the screen, optional. Again, it's all about the word relevance. I'll leave that one to you in terms of what information you include and what you don't, but you can include relevant certificates, any volunteering, any achievements that you've had, the languages that could be relevant, that could help you, skills that you have, going back to that skills section that we covered earlier on, the relevant hobbies and interests, and the links to your website or to any online portfolios that you think will aid your application, and again show the broader, wider, knowledgeable you. And then your sign off is important too. You can't just put all that effort in and say thanks, see you later. It's think about how you finish. Think about, again, it's that beginning, middle, and end. So this is the end. And again, you want to be setting a great impression. This is a nice sign off. I'm really honored to be considered for this position, because I am being considered, because I'm applying for it. I look forward to hearing from you, and please let me know if you would like any more information about me. Many thanks. So look at the language used there. It shows that you have understood the role. I think it shows that you're keen on the role, that it's not just something that you filled out in 5 minutes. You're looking forward to hearing from the person. And again, if there's anything you've left out that you feel that the employer feels they might like to talk about in more detail, just get in touch. It's not a problem. I look forward to hearing from you. And again, many thanks is a nice kind of formal, pleasant way to sign off your application, rather than cheers, perhaps. So tailor your application to the role, as we've said. Apply the portfolio that you have from your past. If you're working as a freelancer, and maybe as in some creative industries, you're probably going to need a portfolio. So that's just essentially samples or examples of the work that you've done. Present your abilities, work in the best light. Choose a range of samples to show the scope and the breadth of your work as well. Again, think about capturing that, telling a story about you and your evolution over time. Now, again, you want to include your skills, highlight your skills and showcase your abilities, and also include any qualifications that you've gained that back up your dedication to that role, to that industry, and to what it is you want to achieve. So let's put all of this together. So here's an example that we're going to work through now. So, dear Mrs. Webb. Okay, so it's a nice strong start. And your introduction: I'm a customer assistant. I'm currently employed by. I'd like to apply for. So again, you're being clear about what you're going for. I heard about the job through seeing it advertised on jobmarket.com. So that brings together all of the information that we spoke about earlier on into a nice compact way that gives a lot of information in not that many words, actually. But again, it's helping build a picture. It's telling a story. So it has a strong start. You're making a strong impression straight away. Now we want to move into the summarizing ourselves. So I would describe myself. This is what I think I am. I'm friendly, I'm helpful, I'm patient, I'm a good team member, and I take pride in offering great levels of customer service. Really, really important, in terms of those communication skills, those getting on with people skills, all of those things. Again, what's relevant to the job? What is the employer going to want to hear in terms of what you can do and what you've done that are going to help you get that role? Now, again, that problem versus the solution. So the employer has that challenge. You want the solution to that challenge. I think I'd be a great fit for the role because I pride myself in being able to cope well under stress. Lots and lots of roles apply a certain amount of pressure and can be busier at times, and can, people go off sick and maybe you've got to cover work. You've got to be adaptable. You've got to be flexible. You've got to be ready for those types of challenges. I'd be a great fit because I cope well under stress. I'm studying. I've also worked part-time at the same time. So I'm dedicated to getting ahead, and I'm dealing with a range of customers on a daily basis. I'm really adaptable, and I understand the importance that the customer really, really, really does come first. Now, our achievements: I enjoy volunteering at the local youth group. I'm taking a short part-time course on counselling. Again, it shows continued development. It shows you wanting and willing to learn. Your sign off: I'm really honoured to be considered for this position. It sounds great, and it shows that you are keen and that you would like to progress if at all possible. and then many thanks. So there's your cover letter, succinctly put together. Again, you can see that you could probably do most of that in under an A4 page in terms of length. You can get some key information together, present yourself really, really well, and look forward, hopefully, to a nice, positive response. All right, we're going to move into the next pause for questions, and let's have a quick look at those. So Sab, does the applicant tracking system filter the resumes and reject those that don't follow their layout? I don't think that, yeah, I agree with what Anthony has put. I don't believe tracking systems rejecting one based on layout. You're more likely to be included, I think, because of keywords that you've included. So that's why the job description element is really, really important, so that the duties and the can align to the skills and the strengths that you have, and perhaps you put in some of those keywords that are applicable to the job, because the filter systems do often look for keywords that are relevant to the role that's being discussed and offered. So I hope that answers your question. And any recommendations for the number of pages for a CV? Did touch on this briefly at the beginning. I think we're all looking at probably not being more than 2 pages, unless the role specifies that you need a lot more detail. And if the role specifies that it just needs to be a very brief summary, because the most important part is the interview or discussion that follows. Interviews can be multi-stage now, so it depends what information people want up front. Again, look at the job description to see if there's anything particularly specified. But generally, I would say if there's any answer to that, it's probably around 2 pages. That's to make sure you get all of the relevant information in, but also the fact that you're not going on for 4, 5, 6 pages and the employer is thinking that's too much information for me to have to sift through. I don't have time to do it. So balance out based on the expectations of the role. Okay, thank you very much indeed for those questions. Good questions, things that come up quite a lot. Another question that does come up quite a lot. Thanks, Glenn. Sab, that's all right, Sab. I hope that's really, really helped. But yeah, filtering systems are often based on keywords. So that's matching your CV up with the job description and making sure, again, that you're emulating what is there and what you need to include. Keywords are an important part. All right, so get ready for your job search. Now, before we apply for jobs, let's understand what opportunities are out there. We did mention before, think about all of the roles that are out there now that didn't exist 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years ago. There are absolutely lots of them, and a lot of them are in high demand. So maybe that is something, if you're looking for a change, that you could consider working towards. Now, I also mentioned about checking your social media before, if you've got social media profiles, because recruiters are looking. And here we go. We're looking at our digital footprint. So remember that you have an online profile and presence. Anything you do online, once you're online, you can press delete buttons and things, but it doesn't mean really anything, to be honest with you. They're always somewhere. They're always on a server. They're always on a cached version. Once something's online, it's online. You see sometimes, often it's kind of people in high profile positions who perhaps tweet something inappropriate maybe, and then their PR team says, take that down. You can take it down, but someone's already got that. Someone's already found a version of that, and someone's already reposted it. So think very carefully about your online presence and what you want people to see. Your online presence is content you share. It's the pages that you follow. And also remember that other people can tag you in posts as well. So if you're leaving profiles open and public, remember that if other people have tagged you and it's been that night down the pub where things maybe got a little bit messier than you'd intended initially, think about whether prospective employers are going to want to see that, or whether that's going to help you to get the job. So maybe, again, that gives you decisions on auditing your overall online presence, creating profiles that might be specifically geared towards applying for roles, or turning public profiles into private profiles and making sure that you have clear separation between the two. 90% of recruiters are going to check your social media presence. That's going to go up. That's going to go up. Social media after employee referrals and company websites is the most important recruiting tool. So again, why is that? Well, because we express ourselves on social media. We can express ourselves pretty strongly at times on social media. Be careful. Make sure that, again, everything you're doing is representing you in the strongest, most positive light. We're not talking about compromising our principles, but we are talking about striking a balance between people having to agree with you and your points of view and your politics and your strong opinions, or rather that you keep some information perhaps more contained for the right groups, for the right forums at the right time. And a third of employers use social media to find new recruits. So there's another way for you to actually find jobs. It's not just all about job boards or looking on particular websites now. Social media is another great way that employers are reaching out for people to fill their positions. So we want to create that compelling personal brand online. Everything we do online helps us to create our personal brand. We do actually have a really, really great webinar session on build our personal brand online, which is available on the Google Digital Garage website, which is g.co/digital garage. So reevaluate your social media. Important point, I think. Create a LinkedIn profile. I love LinkedIn. It's helped create opportunities for me. I've been approached on LinkedIn for a couple of different roles. If you build it's more than an online CV, by the way. It gives you an opportunity to get recommended by other people. It helps you to get involved in conversations with your industry peers and to be able to demonstrate what you know and how good you are, and the conversations that you can contribute to that will perhaps get you under the right nose at the right time too, including perhaps the employees or decision makers of the companies you're applying for as well, because they're often on LinkedIn. So join in on discussions and network and share your engaging content. Share content that involves maybe videos, blogs, podcasts, imagery, compelling messaging. That's important. Everything you do needs to be relevant, appropriate, and engaging. Then that's hopefully going to help people to appreciate you even more and help you to build a really positive online brand and presence. So uncover a world of possibilities. As I said, there's so many different changes to the world of work, not only in terms of the technological advances that we're making and the different roles that exist, but also thinking about how the world of work has changed, perhaps since lockdown and COVID, and how we're now moving into an entirely different environment once more. So the world's your oyster. Think big, identify the trends that are going on, find out what is happening, think about the changes that are going on. There's a lot more focus. Again, even with those Google career certificates, you're looking at industry roles that needs to be filled that could prove to be extremely, extremely interesting to you. You got your research. You need to do some research, spend some time online. There is an absolute wealth, obviously, of information that's available to you online. So make the most of it when you are doing this type of life-changing event, writing a CV, going for a new job. Go to networking events. These are really huge now. Get talking to people that are doing similar things to you or that want to do similar things to you. There are great groups and forums available across the web, also on social media platforms too. Check them out, research them, get involved, and that will only, I think, hopefully add to your confidence overall as you do get more involved in discussions. You might meet the right people, you might meet the right people at the right time that might even help you to get the job that you're after. So think about those possibilities too. So what tools can we use to look for jobs? Search engines are a great way. You can type a role into Google, Bing, Yahoo, whatever one you're using, and find the latest roles and listings. It's all highly filterable, so you can find jobs by location, by salary range, by industry. Everything is made to really be for your convenience and to help you get to the right thing, the right interest at the right time, and understand what you need to do to achieve that role. Job boards, they list all of those roles in one place, so you can find jobs, you can review jobs pretty easily, and often you can just apply in one button because you're often uploading your CV to these job sites. LinkedIn has a similar capability where you can apply for roles on LinkedIn, where it uses the information from the profile that you've built to make sure your profile is up to date and as relevant as it possibly can be for the roles that you're going for. And we mentioned about networking, so just get involved with that networking element too. Talk to people. We're in a pretty social world now. We're all linked, we're all connected, and we need to help ourselves to stand out at the right time. So your jobs on search, as I mentioned before, you can see there You've got management, sales and retail, healthcare, computer and IT. You really can filter and find the thing. You can look at job titles, the date the role was posted, often tell you how many people have applied for that role already, the company type. There's lots of information to help you to find roles, source roles, and start to really tailor your CV and your cover letter towards them. Now, we want to, again, keep an eye out for the key information. This is important. Just as people are looking for your key information, you need to look for the daily tasks and responsibilities. You want to look for the skills and experience required for the role to make sure that you're a good fit or it's something you're working towards. You often need to make a commitment to personal development because we're not going to be full fits all of the time. There may well be growth. There may well be growth going on that's required in the role. There may well be extra training that's going on that may be required as well. So those are important to note. And of course, make sure the salary and location kind of fit in with your needs as well. It's all about making sure that this is a transaction. It's not just what you can do for the employer, but it's what they can do for you as well. And then think about your values. We've mentioned this before. Companies and organizations have values. What are yours? Try and get a match and get a fit. Which ones are important to you? What's going to, again, keep you happy and think this is an organization I'm really proud to be working for because they have this value set that they're working towards that makes me feel that I'm part of this, that I'm really contributing to something useful. Maybe it's sustainable elements. Maybe it is helping to achieve that net zero for our carbon footprint. Whatever it might be, look at the company's website. Find that job then that fits in with your values. Again, it just gives you that extra bounce, I think, in your step when you're working for a company that helps you to do that. Then create a plan. We mentioned before you haven't got goals, what you're working towards, how you're going to measure it. So use the SMART template, SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic and time bound. Again, just take a note, I think, of that slide. Look at how each of the constituent areas fit in to help you to achieve a goal. You need to be realistic. You need to be specific what it is that you want to do. And I think the clearer you make these things, the clearer you get it out of your head and onto paper or onto a document, the more likely successful you're going to be. It's often a good idea to get all of that jumble of information out of your own mind and somewhere physical, somewhere tangible that you can then bullet point, work off, build points on. Be systematic in your approach. So what are your career goals for the next year? So based on the fact that we want to achieve things in certain amounts of time, what are your career goals for the next year? Has this helped you to think about what it is that you want to achieve and how you can realistically do that? We'd love to know. We'd love to have a little bit of feedback on that. Please do feed that into the chat for me. Again, I can see Anthony's been doing a fantastic job in the chat as we hit the final pause for questions. And again, I can see that Anthony's done a sterling job there. So there's no questions for me to answer at this point. So what are our next steps? I mean, it's a lot of information to take in. But when you break it down, you've got your CV and you've seen the templated approach we've taken. You've seen what makes a good CV. You've seen that you need to be relevant and you need to be promoting yourself positively. You've also seen from social media and your online presence that you need to also bear in mind how you're representing yourself online. Your CV and your cover letter are going to be part of your brand, how you represent, how you're seen, how a busy hiring manager like myself might need to look at all of your information quite quickly and make reasonably swift decisions. So catch my eye, make sure that you're giving me all of the information that I need, where I need it, how I need it, and make sure that you've read that job description, make sure that you've researched my company and that you understand what I can offer you so that I can understand what you can offer me as well. And again, work in partnerships. Always see these things as partnerships, I think. Now, again, remembering that you can be helped. We do have these career certificates available, GOO.GLE/career search UK. This could be good for you. This could be an excellent way for you to boost those skills and give you these job ready qualifications for areas like IT support, project management, data analytics, and UX design. There's also digital marketing in there now as one of those offerings. See if that's going to work for you. See if that's something that you feel is going to help to boost your ability to get the job that you want. So yeah, please revisit this session. It's going to be live for the next 24 hours on the link that you came in on. That leaves me just really to say thank you very, very much indeed. Thanks for your time and attention. Thank you for all of the comments that you've made. I can see that some of you got really, really, really involved today in the chat. That's exactly what we want to see. Leave us your feedback on goo.gle/digital garage feedback. And if you're on social media and you've found something positive that you want to share with others, write your post and then hashtag it Digital Garage, and that'll fall into all of the other sequences of posts where people have found useful tips throughout these sessions. So that leaves me to say goodbye. Thank you to Anthea indeed, and that I really, really do hope you have a fantastic Friday, a really good weekend, and good luck for that next role that you're going for. So I'll see you all soon on another Google Digital Garage webinar. See you later, and goodbye.